Tottenham Hotspur FC are the 2025 Europa League champions, and I believe there are some key points that I want to get into that I believe helped Tottenham to win this game. You can like, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree and what you thought were the major points as to why Tottenham won and Manchester United lost. So let's get into it. The first point is what I saw was the lineups. The lineup and what the manager or the game plans from both manager were anticipating. For Tottenham, the key one was Heung-min Son not starting and Richarlison starting. For Manchester United was Ugarte not starting or Kobe Mainoo not starting and Bruno Fernandes playing in the deep role right beside Casemiro. And strangely enough, Mason Mount not on the bench. Instead, it is Alejandro Garnacho that is on the bench. Don't know why. Very strange. But we'll get into the main thing as to how it happened, why it happened, and what the decision is behind it. But I thought the quality of the game, my second point was the quality of the game was poor. It felt like I'm watching the championship. It felt like, in fact, it felt like I was watching a mid-table championship game because both teams, possessed the ball very well. Both teams didn't create, great chances. Both teams didn't show any lack of impetus, didn't show any impetus to score, to try dominate the game, to try and show exactly what they wanted to do in terms of how they wanted to use the ball and to create chances. I think for Tottenham, their quality and game plan was we're going to sit back and let Manchester United have the ball. And actually playing a plan B, strangely enough, was to give Manchester United possession of the ball and say break us down. And with how Manchester United has been playing for this season, we've come to expect it, not scoring much goals, scoring probably like 42 goals in the league this season. So they're not creating any chances to score. So I thought the quality of the game was poor. And the quality of the game really shows and tells the tale of the season that both teams have been having. Tottenham has been abysmal in the league. They are 17th place. Manchester United are not much better. They are 16th. And they are just 1 point away from each other. That's how poor both teams have been. Two of the worst teams in the Premier League, outside of the relegated teams. It kind of shows the quality and game state of where both organizations or clubs are. And I thought it was a dire game. It was hard to watch. It was just mainly tackles. I thought the referee, he was another one that I thought didn't officiated the game well enough. And the number of fouls and tackles that the referee didn't officiate or blow kind of had me like, is he competent at all? So I thought that was also a very strange kind of game in itself. But the state of how Tottenham played, which was to concede possession. Ange Postecoglou said, you know what was going to happen is that we're not going to start Son and have him put in a defensive shift. Instead, what we're going to do is that we're going to let Manchester United have possession of the ball. And that they did, and they did that very well. They defended stoutly. In my previous video, I had stated that Ange doesn't adapt to games and doesn't make tactical tweaks. You can watch that. I'll put it at the end of the video. But in this game, he did. In this game, he showed the awareness. He showed resilience. This team was well drilled defensively. They showed defensive tenacity and grit. Grimy kind of game, which I thought Tottenham wanted based on how they set up. And it worked to perfection. It worked to perfection. Every time that Amad Diallo was to go in on the flank, there were at least 2 or 3 Tottenham players right there that is cutting off his angle of trying to cut in on his left. That is proper coaching. That is sticking to a game plan. And every single time that Dorgu went flying on the left flank, there was at least 2 or 4 bodies around Hoyland, and there were at least an additional body for any Manchester United attacker that would want to make a late run. So the game plan from Tottenham was to negate any form of, one, crosses, in terms of dealing with crosses, but two, to cut off the supply of those crosses, are the main creators, which were Bruno Fernandes, who I believe had an stinker of a game. He was absolutely terrible. And also Diallo when he was on the ball. So it was all for Manchester United to do to break down the team. And they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that. As a Liverpool fan, I'm happy, to be honest with you. As a Liverpool fan, I was excited. I was elated. I was like, let's get into it. Come on, Tottenham. But Manchester United were poor. And with that happening, scruffy goal in the 42nd minute. Somehow, cross comes in. It is, again, Brendan Rodgers coming in. Is it Brendan Rodgers? Brendan Johnson coming in on the back post, right behind Luke Shaw, who I thought looked terrible. He didn't look match fit. He just didn't. He looked out of it. He looked like he was forced to play. And Johnson runs in behind, gets hit the ball, gets a deflection of Shaw, and for whatever reason, Manchester United has to sort out the goalkeeper issue with Andre Onana. And he has my name. That's the worst part. Andre Onana, I don't know what it is. It feels like, have you ever played a football game or any game at all, and there's a glitch? Like the ball passes, like even FIFA, the ball passes like the AI, and then he jumps or then he tackles. That's what I saw. Like the ball passes him and then he begins to like, I'm going to jump after it. I'm going to try and save it. And he just passed him. But that outside of that was really the only creative chance that I thought Tottenham needed, because Manchester United were so poor. And that brings me to my next point. In starting the second half, it was all for Manchester United to do to try and break down Tottenham Hotspur. It was all for them to be on the front foot, be more creative. It was a chance for Ruben Amorim to show why he is one of the bright young coaches coming up, trying to be in the echelons of the Xabi Alonso, with the Arne Slot, with the Mikel Arteta, the ones that are coming up and that want to dominate European football, the Hansi Flick, right? And into that second half, you could see, I'm watching the game. You could hear Manchester United fans asking why aren't any subs happening? Why is it that Ruben Amorim is waiting? Why is he so hesitant to make a substitution? Why is he scared or sticking to the same team to try and change the game? Clearly, Mason Mount is just a passenger on the field. We're just going to call it as it is. He made no impact in that game. He was just there as an additional body. You could say that Tottenham were just playing with 12 men on the field because Mason Mount was just taking up space. Why not, going into that game, why not into the second half, why not try and say, you know what, I'm going to try and change the game. I need more. Let me take off Mason Mount. Let me throw on Garnacho. Give him at least 30 minutes, 35 minutes to really make an impact in that game. Why not take off Casemiro, who I thought played pretty well, but you're going for a win? Why not put on Ugarte? Why not take off what's his name? Mazraoui. Is it Mazraoui? Right, the right wing back. Put Diallo as a wing back. Put Kobe Menu on. Put him beside Ugarte. push Bruno Fernandes up, and try and win the game. So now you have one person in Meno who is very press resistant, who is very good technically on the ball. You have someone in Diallo who is quick, who is creative and can whip in passes, and you have Bruno Fernandes who is your main creator, beside Garnacho who is very quick and that can run in behind. And of course you can change Hoyland to Xerxes, we get it. But at least you're making an effort to at least try and stretch the game to try and create as much as possible. But no. Ruben Amorim said, I'm going to stay with this team and wait till the 71st minute. The 71st minute to make a substitution. No, that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. In the previous video that I made, I said that since he has taken over from Ten Hag in November, he has accumulated 25 points from 25 games. No, that's unacceptable. And you would think that with the Lyon game, the Lyon miracle at Old Trafford, with this team coming back from 4-2 down to win 7-6 on aggregate, you would think that that could stir something in him to say, I'm going to make a change. I need to push the initiative. I need to make something happen. I throw the kitchen sink for all I know. But instead, he's stuck with his original 11 and waited to the 71st minute to make a substitution. That's unacceptable. That is on getting to the borderline of a sackable offense. But in all of that, we still have to big up Big Ange. He said it. It's not just about Manchester United ranted, but he said it. Big Ange said it. I normally win silverware. I win trophies in my second season. And this man followed through. I saw on Twitter that someone said that's one of the coldest lines in football history. That probably is. But he won. He is the one that broke the curse. He is the one that has brought rain, a trophy, to a 17-year drought. Big Ange will go down in Spurs history, Spurs folklore, as a man that has brought a European title to Tottenham, that has brought a European title before Arsenal, their London rivals. And I'm happy. There are things in football that will kind of put you on the emotional side. And it's the where are you moment, where were you moment. I said it in a previous video. I say, where were you when this Mbappe scoring that wonderful goal in the final of the Champions League? Where were you when Tottenham Hotspur won in 2025 in Bilbao, in Spain? Where were you when the drought ended? You know, I'm seeing a lot of Tottenham fans just, raving, and you have every right to, right? Expressions oozing is, listen, as someone said, he's probably going to go on a tour just bantering, raving, cooking multiple Manchester United fans. So big up to Big Ange and Tottenham. So I thought it was his tactics did work. His tactics were spot on. His defensive, pragmatic awareness for his team worked. Putting on Son eventually when Richarlison got, I guess fatigue and cramps coming in because you're putting in a shift. But to see Heung-min Son raise a trophy for Spurs, I just raise a trophy in general, it warms my heart. It's not just even for Tottenham and them beating Manchester United. It's the emotion that comes with it, and you saw persons crying tears of joy, and I'm happy to see that. So where does in all of what I'm saying, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? As or where do you go from here? You can let me know in the comments. Where do you go from here as a Spurs fan? As a Manchester United fan. For Spurs, where do you go from here with Ange Postecoglou? Do you keep him for another season? Do you think he's the right man for the job going into the Champions League? If, and this is my opinion, if I'm Big Ange, if I'm Ange Postecoglou, I am stepping down. I am leaving the club. I have done what I've set out to do. I have won a trophy for one of the biggest bottlers in Europe. I have won a trophy. And my job is complete. I can move on and do something else. Ride off into the sunset like a cowboy. You've done it. You've done what you've set out to do. You've won a trophy for Spurs. They've qualified for the Champions League. This now helps them into the summer transfer targets that they're looking to get. Players that they probably didn't look at now are able to look at. Opens the bank book even more for the next manager. Make changes to the squad and really build on what they have planted in winning a European title. So I mean, that's me as if I'm Big Ange. But if you are Ruben Amorim, if you're a Manchester United fan, and this is my opinion, you can let me know in the comments if you disagree. He has to go. Listen, there are things as a football fan that you look at its trends, its traits, behavioral traits as how a team performs, the body language of a team or of an organization. Now, Ruben Amorim is again a bright and upcoming coach. This so far has been a failure for him in terms of how he has marketed himself as a manager or supposedly a top manager in Europe. And he has marketed himself horribly, poorly. But in certain interviews, he has stated that it makes no difference if they win a trophy or not, if they qualify for the Champions League or not. This team is rotten to the core, which I've always said. There is so much wrong with this team. It's not even just unbalanced. It's cancerous. It's cancerous as to the environment, the atmosphere, the dark cloud that is over Manchester United. Kobe Menu last season was one of the brightest, I believe still is one of the brightest young footballers in the world, in Europe. This young man has played in a Euro final last summer. And for whatever reason, Kobe Menu cannot buy a start in this Manchester United team. Kobe Menu. And you're telling me that Ruben Amorim still is the right man. You should be patient with him. You should give him time for him to get his players. If one thing I know about football is you are as good as how you think your team is. And what I mean is Jurgen Klopp inherited a team that was poor in 2015-2016. He became the manager of Liverpool in October 2015 and went to two finals. That team, if my memory serves me right, is not better than this Manchester United team. And yet somehow, even though they didn't win the Europa, even though they didn't win the Carabao Cup or the League Cup, and they came, 7th or 8th, he was still managed to at least motivate and push those players to their best, to their limitation. That is the role of a manager. a manager who is a coach. His role is not only to bring in the players that he wants. His role is not only to do interviews and give the state of how a player is doing and the injury track record. We understand his role is to go beyond in terms of managing the back room. But his role, most importantly, is to get the best out of the current players that he has. And if they are not good enough, then they go out to buy different better players that would help to propel his philosophy and bring a club into a better state. That isn't Ruben Amorim, and I'm telling you this from now. If Ruben Amorim continues as the Manchester United manager for next season, it will be darker days. It will be darker days. I could go on and rant as to why, but as of right now, seeing Manchester United fans cry, it warms my heart. It really does. But really, guys, this is just like how I felt. This is what I saw, raw, unedited, and just talking. So, like, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What do you believe Manchester United should do? What do we believe that Spurs should do? Daniel Levy should do with Big Ange going into next season, going into the summer transfer. But let me know. And until next time, guys, peace.